There is something about road trips that just feels freeing. No strict plans, no rush, just the open road and whatever comes next. This was our Pacific Coast road trip, driving from the coast, stopping whatever felt right, and soaking in every moment. We kicked things off in Santa Cruz, where the ocean air was crisp, and the first thing on my mind was hot chocolate, because it was pretty cold. We wandered down to the wharf and found an entire squad of sea lions piled on top of each other, half asleep. Some were barking, some were just flopped over like they had the best nap of their lives. Watching them, I felt this weird mix of calm and curiosity. Like, what did they even dream about? Next stop, the amusement park. But it was closed. There's always something bittersweet about seeing an empty theme park. The lights still glow, the rides sit still, but there is no sound, no laughter. And just when we thought the night was winding down, we turned a corner and ran into a street band. The music was alive, the energy infectious. A group of old hippies were dancing like nothing else mattered. And for a few minutes, we just stood there, soaking it all in.
Next morning, we hit the road for Monterey. But first, a little debate about aquariums, conservation, and whether or not we were funding an underwater prison. Jem has never been a fan of aquariums. The idea of trapping sea creatures for our entertainment doesn't sit well with her. But I convinced her that this place was more about research and rescue than it was a tourist trap, so she agreed to give it a shot. Right when we got there, we watched a short film about marine rescue. It was a heartwarming story, and I think it convinced Jem that this place was more than just an aquarium. Walking through, we saw some of the most mesmerizing creatures. Jellyfish floating like lava lamps, sea otters rolling around like little water acrobats, and then the touch pool. I don't know what it is about touching sea creatures. It makes you feel like a kid again. There's something about that weird bumpy texture that sparks curiosity. By the end, Jem fully admitted the place wasn't what she thought it was. It wasn't just about showing off animals, it was about saving them, and that made all the difference. Next stop, one of the wildest places on the west coast, Hearst Castle.
I don't even know where to start with Hearst Castle. It's not just a mansion, it's a full-blown kingdom on a hill, built by a man who had way too much money and way too many ideas. Everywhere you look, there's something jaw-dropping. Gold ceilings, ancient tapestries, marble floors imported from Europe. Nothing about this place is subtle. It's extravagant in a way that almost doesn't feel real. And then there is the pool. The Neptune pool looks like something straight out of a Roman emperor's dream. Imagine taking a swim surrounded by actual ancient statues. Casual. But honestly, the indoor pool, that was my favorite. Deep blue tiles, gold accents, and reflections so clear it looked like you could dive into the ceiling. Walking through, I kept wondering, what was it like to actually live here? To wake up, walk through endless halls of art and history, and call this home? It felt more like a museum than a house. But I guess when you are William Randolph Hearst, normal just isn't the goal. After a few hours of wandering through what felt like another world, it was time to head back to reality, or at least to the next step. That night, we camped in Cayucos, falling asleep to the sound of waves. Simple, quiet, perfect. The next morning, we headed to Morro Bay. It's a small coastal town, but what it lacks in size, it makes up for in charm. Now I have to talk about saltwater taffy.
She got me taffy.
I first heard about it from friends. I had never tried it, but I was curious. David, on the other hand, grew up here, and he already had a favorite flavor, watermelon. So obviously we had to get some. And wow, it did not disappoint. Just when I thought the day couldn't get better, we found a sea otter nursery. One baby otter floated on her mom's chest, held tight in her arms. It was the sweetest thing I've ever seen. I don't know what it is about sea otters, but they just radiate happiness. Morro Bay was small, but it left a big impression. And next?
I love San Diego. I spent 5 years in San Diego. I wanted to show a gem, as many things as I could in the 3 days that we were there. So first day, most importantly, Tacos El Gordo, best tacos on the planet.
Finish that now, you're recording? Nice. It was the best taco I've ever had in America.
After that, we checked out some views of the city and then hit Sunset Cliffs for sunset. Absolutely gorgeous, spectacular. The next day, we hit up downtown, checked out some of the statues and the Midway, Gaslamp Quarter, you know, all the downtown stuff. Not too much going on down there. Afterwards, we hit up some friends and went to Korean BBQ and Convoy. Our last day on the way out for Joshua Tree, we had to go back to Convoy and get some ramen. I think San Diego has some of the best Asian food in the United States, if not the best. Then, with full stomachs and the road ahead of us, we set off for Joshua Tree.